So today we will discuss about handling a complex form. Okay, so imagine your complex form that you have experienced in your across the life, like the most complex form that you have ever filled. So if you get such a requirement, we will see how we can improve the user experience. Okay, for that, let me open any OmniScript. Let me just check the better version. So what we will discuss today is those topics: set errors, post actions, delete actions, and PDF actions. PDF actions probably we will discuss in the next class, but yeah, we will try to cover that also. But yeah, let's see how much we will reach to that discussion. Meanwhile, it is opening. Let me share my concern about what are the complex requirements that usually we follow Visual Force or LWC or Lightning, which will get compromised, and how Velocity basically overcome that. So imagine that there is a complex form and users are filling that. Okay, the time. Let's discuss about the complexities that form. Let's say the BGC form, background verification forms, that we when we change the company will give us those forms and we need to fill, right? In that form, the first screen is to get the user information, right, which we have, like our name, our email addresses, our phone numbers, some basic details. We have that. When we do the next thing it asks is to submit any government ID proof, maybe a address proof, your age proof. Okay, that we also have. And sometimes we do the next. After the next screen, they probably ask you to fill to attach the your academic documents. Okay, at that stage, most of us don't have attached those documents handy, right? We need to probably search from somewhere. Maybe if there's no soft copy, we need to take a scan copy of that, and then we need to install it, right? But the time when we do it, it may probably take half an hour, 1 hour, right? The session of that particular instance get expired, and when we actually try to upload it, it will throw a message that you cannot do because your session get expired, right? So in that case, if they again log in and do those steps, they will again they need to start from step one, because the actual information is not saved yet, because the actual information or the information will get saved when they actually do a submit button, right? But that they didn't do because the form get break into mid of it. So we will check that how we can actually ask user to provide a save later functionality, where they can, if they don't have anything handy, they can store that in they can store it in some place, and once they have the information, they can again resume the form from where they have left. Okay, that's thing we will discuss. The next thing that we will discuss is, what if let's say they have reached to step 10, and in step 10 we have add a validation type of thing, which actually requiring one field to be required, and that field is in step 2. In that case, we need to again pass user. Once they do the next and the validation happens, we need to send user back to step 2. Okay, so that we will check how we can do that. Okay, so the page is also loaded. Let me open in a classic design. So the script that we have open is LWC enabled. The topics that we will discuss, it doesn't require any LWC specifically, but yes, it will work on LWC and classic also. Let me check this speed net also. It is decent. Okay, so we will first check the set error, which basically used to do the same thing. Then we will talk about the steps where we actually ask user to save any record, automatically save or manual save, that we will discuss today. We will also check how users can delete any record. Okay, because as of now, whatever we have discussed, you guys are aware, right? The data raptors can create anything, they can load anything, but they can't delete anything. So we will check what actions do we need when we actually need to delete anything, right? Those things we will talk about. So let's first talk about the set errors. Okay, let me check this. Let me switch the network. Give me a second. Okay. Give me the data so that the page will load. Okay, so we will use the same example where this is the first, let's say, step, and this is the second step. This is a step second. Okay. Navigation actions we have discussed yesterday, so it is there, and selectable item. So what I'll do is I will deactivate the set item because I think it is not 100% configured. Navigation action is also we need to deactivate. Why? Because if we introduce it here, it will kick us from different URL, right? It will not continue the other script. So for timing purpose, what I'm doing is I'm adding a heading here. Okay. In step 4, and here we can write I am step 4. Okay. Let me also drag a step after this, and again I will add a tag here which says thanks for reaching to. So let's say the requirement is when user reach to step 5, the moment they will click on the next button of step 5, we want to validate some fields of this account detail section. Okay, let's say we will verify whether user uploaded the phone number or not. We will verify. If there is no phone number, we again need to send user from step 4 to step 1, which is this detail. Okay, this is the requirement, and we will only pass user to step 5 when all those validations are successfully happened. So that is things we will discuss. Let's see how we can do that. First, let's check the flow. Can also take LWC preview. The topics, like I was saying, we are discussing, it will work on both, right? So that's information. We can do the next. It will show this OS, right? Next, it will show the step 4, and then it will show the step 5. It's not showing the heading. Headline. Okay. Yeah. Maybe headline, as you can see, it is not supported in LWC. We can drag a text block also, right? Inside that, whatever we have written, we can put into here, and we can remove this headline. Okay. For demoing purpose, I'm just using those headings, but you can imagine this is a real-time example where you have actual fields or actual flow, actual fields of your uh, form, right? So you can imagine that here. Now you can do the next. Next, you will see I'm step 4, and here will see I'm step 5. So requirement was we will stop user to reach to step 4, right? Let's do that. For that, what we need to add a something called set error. Okay, just check this. You will find it in actions. Errors, right? And you need to drag the set error the place you want to use. Let's say we want to stop user to go to step 5. That means we want to validate this after step 4, right? So you need to drag the set error between step 4 and step 5. Okay, sorry, set error. Okay, so getting it right, let's say we want to this step 4 is the last option, last step, and after that we are going to launch the card information where we are asking user to put any credit card information to do the payment. Okay, let's say this is the last thing, and then our payment gateways will start. So in between those steps, we will verify all the previous informations based on some rules, based on some settings are fulfilling or not, which are actually required to process the order. Okay, you can imagine this also, or you can also imagine any business scenario which business is saying, or any field that you need is required before reaching to next step. You need to drag your set error between both of them. Okay, the last step and the next step, and then you need to drag it. There you will see the interface of set error is very similar of how we basically call a alert thing, right? So here we just need to write the element name. Let's say we want to put that validation for phone, so we can use phone. Okay, it will automatically say text because the phone is text now, and here it is supporting the formula, so that means you can write any complex logic here also, or you can directly put any text here also. You can say phone number. Okay, use this also, right? So it also requires some additional settings, but yeah, let's first check whether it is working or not. Okay, and then we need to go to the preview. And let's say we are not providing any phone number here, right? In phone number it is blank. Now I'm going next step 4, and again it will reach back to step 1. Okay, 4, and again reach back to step 1. Just a second, it's saying step 1. Let me do that. Let me take preview from here. Next. Yeah, here it is working. Maybe in LWC it is not. It will only work when we activate this script. But see, after this stage, when we do the next, the set error took back to the original script where it is saying please fill the number. Okay, and this text is coming from the set error. You can control it through here. Please fill the phone number. So whatever value you will put here, and you need to just specify the nature or the type of which field you want to fire the validation here, and it will simply prompt out the exit error. Even we have not configured this phone number as a required. Okay, this will also work. Then why they give us this option when we can directly make something required and stop user for going next step? The reason is because in some of the business scenarios, you only want to require a particular field on specific condition, right? Let's say if they go with this flow, we don't want to require, let's say there is a 2 business flows, right? For if they go with that flow, we don't want to require this phone number, but if they select the other option, then we want to require this phone number. So all those things you can configure using set values, set error, sorry, right? Whatever you want to do, you can write those things here. Plus you can also write any complex logic. Let me give you a background on it. Let's say we want to fire this validation when they have checked something in this. Okay, let's say this select, if they have written phone number is required, this text, and when they do this, and when they reach to step 4, then only we want to fire this set step. Otherwise we don't want to fire. In that case, what you need to do, you need to create a field. Okay, that field you need to hide. You guys know, right? We need to edit JSON, and then from where we can make hide as true. Okay, this is the first thing you need to do. You need to make this field as hide. Okay, and that field you need to use as a set values, and in set values you can write those logics, and here you can, in the error, instead calling phone, you can call that field based on true or false. Okay, and then it will work. That is the main use of set errors. You actually, if as of now, if I go in the preview, and here if I put anything, okay, if I put anything, and even if I do the next, you will still show that this message is throwing. Why it is throwing? Because we have not add any conditions to set error. Here we need to write a condition, add a condition. It should only work when phone is null, right? Phone equal to null, then only it should fire, otherwise it should not fire. So let's check it out now. So we have given the phone number. When I do the next, next, you will see it will not throw any exception and it is reaching to step 5. Okay, so make sure you will also add this condition, otherwise it will not work. I mean, otherwise it will work for all the time. Okay, you need to make sure that phone number is not null. Okay, any questions on it? It is simple, right? The only thing that you need to take care is where you need to drop it. Okay, we have to control the required field check or blank check. They give us two options. One, we can directly go and make that particular field as required. Okay, if you do that, when they reach to this step, it will simply show a alert message that they need to put the field. That's the first thing that we can do. Second is, when we can't make this thing required at this level, okay, we want to required, we want to make this field required due to some logics, then you need to use the set error. Okay, this will simply stop user to, it will not stop user to fill at this moment, but when they actually submit a card, you need to use it. Okay, set errors we mostly use in when we actually want to show any custom validations. Okay, or whenever there is a dependency on third party data and we store this in a data and then we go forward. Okay, and since this is a third party data, we don't want user to put this information at a particular stage, or maybe at that stage you don't have that information also. Okay, in that case we will use set errors before submitting it to final form. Okay, okay, then let's discuss the other topic, which is saving a record. Let's say how we can do that. But before that, let me also tell you one thing. For that, let's open Amazon. One thing that you guys have observed, let's say this is Amazon. I have reached to this page. Okay, I have added this to a card. Okay, now you can see there is no option of going back. Yes, you can use the browser button. That's a different thing. But if you selected something, your Amazon or Flipkart or any e-commerce platform will not give you any option to go back. Right, that's a business strategy. Actually, they will always focus you to go to forward direction, not from backward direction. Okay, you, that means you cannot go previous, you can only go forward. Here you can go to buy, right? You can also check emails and all things, right? But there is no option where they will tell you that you can go back. If yes, you can use browsers button to go back, but in some of the website this browser button also doesn't work. Okay, so let's say, but here if you see, we have option previous, right? We have previous options. That means users can go to the previous flow also, right? If we want to disable this, what we need to do is we need to go to the script configuration. Here, scroll down, you will see previous button. This cancel button we already disabled, right? Yeah, let's check that step. See, there is a button called previous. Search. Just a second. Allow later knowledge error, messaging framework, HTML, JavaScript. There's a button for it also. Let me actually open any normal script which is not LWC enabled. let's say this one. I think it is in this stage. Yeah, here it is. So it is not in the script configuration, it is in the steps. So here you will see there is a button called preview. You just need to remove this check and make the width 0. Okay, same thing you need to do for all your steps. Okay, where you don't want the preview button, previous button. Okay, so yeah, let's say here also you need to go to the button properties and remove this. Okay, now if you view your form, okay, when you do the next, you will see actually I need to clear the data. Okay, when I do the next, it is showing, yeah, maybe in that step we have not configured there in this particular OS because it's a child OS, right? We also need to do that configuration. Okay, so here you will see there is no back step, right? When if I do this, then I will, the only possible way to go back is this set error. Okay, so this is also something that you need to discuss with your business, that whether they want user to go back to the previous step or not. Okay, based on that you can configure this. If I go next, only this step which is coming from your OS, this is having the previous button, and for other steps we have not configured this previous button. That means user cannot go backward direction. Okay, that is also some business strategy where they stop user to go back. That is also fine, but you need to first ask this question to your business whether they want this or not. Okay, the next thing that we want to discuss is, let's say users, again the same thing, let's say they fill this form, and when they go to the next step, and at this step let's say they don't have any information in this step 4, maybe they need to add their academic documents or any information that is not handy with them, and if they leave this window like that for a couple of minutes, then you will know Salesforce will automatically time out the session. Okay, and then they will go back to, they need to start it from the first step and again need to fill those informations. So to enhance this user experience, Velocity provides us a couple of options. Okay, let's discuss those options here. The first option that you will see is they ask us something called draggable stuff. Yeah, save later kind of approach they have provided us. Do that. Post action per day function. Yeah, just a second. It is post action. Yeah, data raptor post action. Uh, post to object, I think. Post to object. Yeah, post to object action. So let me first discuss this. So let's say after the requirement is once user go beyond step 1, let's say they have completed step 1 and they have also completed the child OS and they reach to step 4, but before, once they reach to step 4, we want to save this information. So how we can do that? We need to actually drag this between where the place we want user to automatically save the record. Okay, let's say this is the record where we want user to save the data. They can simply select this option. Okay, and then you will see there is a remote class which is automatically created by it comes with the package only, so we don't do any customization on the top of it. And you will see this is something which creating a method, which that method, what it is doing, it is saving this particular record. But now let's say since we are working in Salesforce, Velocity is also running on the top of Salesforce. That means all those validations and all will be taken care by Salesforce only, right? In that case, what is happening? Since to save a save anything, we need an object, right? So Salesforce also maintain one object for that purpose. So let's check that object first. Okay, you can say select ID from, there is an object called script. Let me think the name actually. It is actually application. Velocity CMT application. Yes, Velocity CMT application is the name. CMT underscore CMT underscore application. This one. If you query here, you will see there is no data. Okay. Now just keep an eye here. I have used this post action between these two steps, right? Before OmniScript and after OmniScript and before this step 4. So let's do that. I will tell you, you will not use in which scenarios I will tell you. Let's say this is the information. I have filled something, let's say test account. And I doing the next. Okay. After step 1, which is OS, our script get called. You will see there is some time it is taking to display the further steps. Okay. Now it will take to the next step. User need to go to the next here, and then they will reach to next step 4. So in the between this step, what it does basically, it caches the information and it simply created a record under that. Now if you open this record, you will see there is a field called view all JSON, full JSON. This full JSON is having all the information related to your OmniScript. Okay. If you copy this information, you will see whatever users are feeding, they have this full information. Okay. Parser. Here you will see all the basic information that are required to fill to cache it, have all those fields. Okay. So this you can use for your references, but you can again ask what user will do with this information. Okay. How we will ask them to, let's say we have enabled this functionality, then how it will help user to cache this information, because how user will retrieve information from here, right? So see, users, let me tell you when you actually need to use it. You need to use it only for your references. User will not do anything with this. Okay, this is the first point that I'm saying. Yeah, just imagine you have created this flow. Okay, and due to any reason you want to store the JSON information, okay, with you because of any storing purpose, or to debug anything, or to track the record. In that case, you will use this option, post to object action. Okay, but this information is not helping users to again stop users to again cache their data. Okay, because it is stored in a JSON format. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me actually deactivate this. I will again come back to this particular script, but let's talk about some other options. Okay, then it will be more clear why I'm saying this is not useful for users and it is useful for Velocity developers. Okay, just keep an eye on that. I will come back to this point. Now let's explore the other options. Okay, you need to go to the script configuration. Okay, the other option is you need to go to the save options. You will see automatically there is a checkbox which says allow save later. Okay, that means if this checkbox is enabled, you will see a save for later button here. If I do the next, you will see there is a button called save for later. If I do the next again, you will see this button. This button is for all the steps. If let's say I don't have any information that I want to fill at this particular step 4, I can click on this button. Okay, and it asks me, are you sure you want to save it later? And I said yes. So what it will do, just wait for it. Okay, it will save your own script. Okay, and it is also giving you two things. You can copy your address, you can also bookmark it, or you can also mail it. That means this information is actually helpful for your end user to save their particular OmniScripts. Okay, for that, let's say I copied this information. Okay, it will give you a URL now. If I copy this URL and paste it to the browser, just a second. Let's say I paste this browser here. Yeah. Okay, so you can see this will automatically take you to step 4. It will not showing step 3, step 1 or anything. It will take you to step 4 only. That means your users can resume their work from this step only. Now you can ask me how Salesforce is caching this information. Again, the concept is same. They are using a different object to store this information. Okay, so let's talk about that object also. Let me again go to the yeah, we can actually close it. We open it again. That object name is OmniScript CMT. OmniScript instance. OmniScript instance. Let me search. This one. If you have installed the CMT communication domain, then it will be CMT. If you install the other domain based on the domain, your CMT or anything will get expanded, right? But the object remains the same. Script instance. You just need to click here, and you will see there is a record created, right? This is the same record. You will also see this is the record, right? And this record is having all those fields also. Let me go back and show you. Okay. URL data, you will see that it is maintaining one URL. Okay, this is the link URL. This is the short URL, and this is the full URL. If you are using, if your user are in community, it will append the community URL also. Okay, and along with this URL, there is an ID, right? You will see this ID. Let's copy this ID and view in Salesforce. Okay, this is the particular record that it got created, and here it will store your information. So what it will do is, previously we are doing everything with SOAP APIs, right? And now it will create a URL, and now we have the access to redirect our OmniScript based on that. This is actually full for your users, where you actually need to configure if you want to provide a save later functionality. Okay, this is why I'm saying, because this will give your user direct access to a particular URL. They can also mail that URL to their email. They can copy this URL for further references, or they can also bookmark it. Okay, and once it's done, they will simply need to again revisit this page, and then they can do their stuff. But there's a problem actually. Let's say and it is a this is the best case scenario. You always need to configure this only. Okay, but now let's complex this. Now let's complex the rules. Let's say the requirement is user users want to save the data automatically. They even don't want to click on next button. Maybe there is a business scenario where you want to configure this for a couple of scripts. So how you can do that? Let's talk about that. For that, you need to check this option, which says automatically save the data. Okay. If you check this option, then what it is doing, let's do a preview, clear the data. Okay. If I do this, and do the next. You will see the script has automatically saved. In order to resume it in future, copy this or email this link. That means whatever we are doing with the help of save and later button, it is automatically saving this data for us. And if you go back and yeah, go back and query, you will see that two records got created. First one is the older one and that this one is the new one. Okay, so it is taking care of this automatically. If I do the next, you will see this script, this message will always be there. There is a flash between this. That means it is keeping this particular record up to date. It will, whatever you're doing, based on that, it is updating that particular record. Okay, once you do the next, you will, yeah, it will prompt out to the error, and again there is a flag, right? So that means based on the next click, they are the script is storing their data. So this will be helpful for your users, and they will not uh, yeah, they will not uh, I mean their data will be saved. They will not get any situation where they need to fill this information again. But there's a drawback here. Since you have saved this functionality, that means now for any time they will any user create a open any velocity open any velocity script, OS script, it will cache the information. That means unnecessary we are creating a rows in that particular object. Since this object is a staging table, right? It's not related to users. We also need to take care about the deletion part here. Otherwise, if we don't delete the record in future, you will see there are so many record automatically get created. And this will again is not a best practice because unnecessary it is creating a record and we need to take care about deletion part also. So Velocity provides us an option where we just need to write number of days when this particular record get deleted. Okay, you can write here 7. In my project, I write 7 here. But again, it is purely subjective. You need to think how many users are using that particular Omni script. What is the actual scope of this script? Is it customer? Is it used inside customer communities? That means the number of users may be very large, right? Because it's customer. You need to ask this thing to your business, like how many users gonna use it. If the number is very high, you need to tune it to less, 3 or 2. Okay. Based on that, you need to take a decision, and you also need to confirm this from your business because this is very important. If you check in any of those options, you need to take care about the deletion part, and there you need to put any date. Okay, this is also part of users grooming, where you need to tell them the email that you're sending is valid up to that many days. And I think 7 days is enough for it, right? But again, depends on the requirement also. So those things we can configure. Now come back to this thing, post to actions. Now you can see, you can ask me, since we have users have this option where they can mail a particular link and they can use this link. So why Velocity provide this option where we are storing the full JSON? The answer here is, for some reasons, we need to store the actual information which users are putting. Okay, let me tell you this scenario. Let's say before we actually save a record, okay, before we actually save particular record, we want system to track or keep one backup of whatever actual information is filled by the user. Because before the DML, here we are not making any DML to any row, right? It is nothing but we are asking user to fill the information. But once user make a DML, then maybe your flow, your triggers, your logics will fire, and maybe it manipulate the actual data of the user. Okay, in that case, there are some users which ask us the requirement where they says, I want my actual information to be backup, so that if anything happened, we can actually compare with the actual information and the other information too. Okay, so that is why we Velocity provides us an option. But again, like I was saying previously also, this is not helpful for your users. This is for the backups, or it is for the internal developers. It is not gonna save the purpose of viewing the page again. Okay, for that you need to enable the save later functionality, which is configured through script configuration here. I hope the intention is clear now. So if the requirement is you need to enable save and later functionality, you need to go and configure this button. But if the requirement is you need to cache the actual user's information, then you need to use post to action, post to object actions. This is also very helpful when we design a system where we are asking user to do the payments. Okay. Also, in order capture journey, we also want to maintain the full backup of whatever information get filled, because once order decomposition get start, Velocity runs some of the validation, some of the triggers, and at that time the actual JSON will get changed. Okay, and this is something which is not in our hand also, because the decomposition process runs some predefined velocity package triggers. Okay, and if you think there's some JSON is required at that moment to backup, then you need to use it. Okay, so that is the difference that I want to make. And yeah, you need to also delete the particular you need to put some days here so that your particular record get deleted. Okay, you can also save URL parameters also if you have any, right? You can define API name and add this URL parameters. This will also be part of that URL which I was showing. Right? Yeah, any questions? Now I pause for this. If no question, then we can go ahead for deletion part. No questions? Okay. Now let's discuss about deleting any stuff. Deleting, yeah, let me first actually introduce that and then I will discuss about it. You need to use delete actions. Let me actually configure this at, let's say, at this stage. Okay. This is basically, let's talk about the elements of delete action. The purpose is clear, right? It is used to delete any record, and that record, whatever you have get, it just need the entire ID set. Okay. And it is capable enough to delete record in bulk also. That means if you have set of IDs, you can directly give the root of those IDs here, and it will automatically take care about the deletion. The next thing is you need to define which object you are deleting. The next thing is if you check this checkbox, it will also delete the dependencies. Okay, let's say this account that you are sending, it is used somewhere. Let's say this is tagged to any contact. Okay, and when you try to delete an account, it is asking you that you cannot delete because it is tagged to any contact. If you check this checkbox, what this will do, it will delete account and it will also delete the contact. So yeah, take a wise decision. Do you want to check this checkbox or not? Okay, the rest is very similar. Here you will configure your custom error messages. If during the deletion any message happened, any error happened, you can define your custom messages. Okay, this is the pop-up which tells you, are you sure? I mean, before you actually delete, you want user to get confirmation whether they want to delete or not. In that case, you need to configure this. But now you can ask me one question, like how I can show a Salesforce backend action. Okay, because maybe you in most of the time we will not display any backend actions like backend apex actions specifically, but just in case if the requirement is we need to also pop out the along with the static message, we also need to pop out the message that are coming from your server. In that case, if you go to the JSON path, here something called debug, right? You need to click this debug for any backend action. Even if it is a data raptor, if you scroll, you need to go to the response. There's something called error, right? And this error is also can be accessed from your main data tree, main JSON tree. If any error happened, okay, let's say if any error happened, you will see a entity error here also. Okay, and then you need to read this error and then you need to display this error if you want to display anywhere. Okay, I mean, the point I want to make is you need to read this tree and then you can display this error. But it is very rare scenario that we ask user to display, I mean, in the front UI, we will display anything. But yeah, just giving you a reference, I mean, there are options where we can actually define any errors here. So this is the actual process of defining the error. We'll again come back to this error message section in there's a class where we need to define that. But there's a problem in deletion part, which I actually observe in my project. Let me explain you what it is. You can, if the requirement is you want to delete one record or two record which actually get created during this flow only, then it is fine, you can delete it. Or even if you have any data raptor and you are very sure that deletion doesn't make any impact, then go with this. Okay, there's no problem. But if you think, because see, DML is all in DML, the deletion part is always very sensitive, right? We can't directly ask user, we can't give them entire set of IDs where they can simply go and delete this. This is very rare scenario when you actually allow user to delete a record in bulk, right? And this delete option is actually given to handle this requirement which actually user created by anything in this flow, or any requirement is there which actually meant only for deletion purpose, then you can use it. But I will still say, if you want to capture this thing in a log file also, then you should use Apex. Let me give you a scenario where I use Apex and I I removed this component from my project. Let me give you that scenario. There was a scenario where I need to perform the delete operation in bulk IDs. Okay, and the problem is with that is there are, let's say, 50 records. I created an entire OmniScript just for deletion purpose. Okay, the requirement was I created an entire script. User need to search something, based on the search they need to delete the particular row. They need to select, I mean, they need to tick, and when, let's say, there are 100 rows and they need to tick the table, and whatever they have selected they need to delete it. That is the manual effort they need to do. Okay, but since they are doing a bulk operation, okay, here you're also this delete is also capable to bulk operation. But if, let's say, in 50 records 10 is having any issue, in that case none of your operation will perform. Okay, because this is async, this is not async. Okay, this is real time. That means if anything failed, it will fail the entire transaction. Okay, in that case user will be get frustrated and they will say, if this functionality is not capable to delete, then I can delete it by one. Getting it? So to handle this functionality, when you have bulk rows, bulk records, and you also want to take care this, like if in out of 100, if 10 is failing, then allow 90 to delete, and for 10 you can maybe stop it and display whatever the issues is with those 10 records. In that case, you need to go for Apex. You need to probably run a batch job, and that batch job will pick the success records and it will continue till the end of the last record. And if there is anything which is not allowing them to delete, they can specify or mail those deleted entities to the users. Because if you're deleting in bulk record in a single mode, right, in a real time mode, you will also encounter some DML or some exceptions, timeout exceptions, or because deletion also fires triggers, right? And since it's bulk record, then the obvious thing is you should not do it in real time, right? We have in Velocity, we have a batch control in creation part, we have batch control in updation part, but deletion part, there is no such control. Even I don't find any control in that cases. Okay, so better if you are sure that your users are deleting a couple of fields, couple of records, then yeah, go with this. But if the requirement is complex and you are since providing multiple rows, which make us in future for uh, exceptions, platform like CPU timeout or query timeout or anything, right? Then you need to probably go for Apex solutions, because this is limited here only, right? There's not much we can do in delete thing. Any questions? I pause now. One topic I also want to discuss, this PDF action, but let's keep this topic for the next classes. There are a couple of topics remains in OmniScript side. We will discuss. I will create one or two sessions more for OmniScripts. when we discuss both those topics. Okay, the email thing and the this PDF thing is very important. So I will keep those two also in there. Okay, so today is the last day of this week, so I will also create assignments. In that assignment, there will be two parts. One is related to the EPC and second one is related to the OmniScript, that whatever we have discussed yet. What I'll say is, if you don't have much time, then please go through the recordings and learn the EPC part, because from Monday we will start the order decomposition process. And order composition process it itself very complex. It's not because of velocity, it's not because of Salesforce. For any platform, it could be your anything, right? The order decomposition process is always complex because it comes with so many rules which fires some of them manually, some of them automatically. So it is actually a complex thing. To understand that, you need to have some basic idea of how the order gets generated, right? This CPQ page which I was showing, when you go to the orders, you click on CPQ, there you need to add your product to the card and submit this button, right? So as of now, whatever we have discussed is before the submit button, like how the discount will get calculated, how pricing are coming, how the product are showing, what is the price list, right? All those things we have discussed. So just read those, just view those videos again, and from you should be clear from that prospect. That all I want to say, because order decomposition, it will, if you don't have back ideas on those topics, it will be difficult for you to understand. Okay, all right, let's meet on Monday. You can expect the assignment by tomorrow. I will not do it today. Maybe tomorrow, by EOD tomorrow, I will upload the assignments. Okay. Thanks for joining. Thanks.